All right, the project today is changing out this toilet. The toilet is leaking from the bottom, hence all the towels. And it's probably just a wax ring, but I'd like to think that toilet technology has come a long way in 25 years since this toilet was first installed. So we're going to change it to a new one. The first main step is to make sure that we got the right replacement toilet. So the replacement toilet we got is an elongated bowl, which this is. It has a rough-in distance of 12 inches. So from the bottom back wall to the toilet bolts needs to be 12 inches. And so we're 12 inches as opposed to 10 or 14 inches. So we're close here. Okay, so we're gonna shut off the water supply. It's just a quarter turn that way. So the water supply is shut off now. And then now it's just a matter of flushing the toilet until the whole tank drains. Okay, then we'll get the rest out manually. And then we're gonna take the toilet bolts off on both sides, right here. There's one left and right, and we'll just put a socket on it and take it off. Over on the other side here, the nut was corroded on the bolt, and like we'll see later, the toilet flange bolts kind of have a T shape. They go into a slot and then they twist, and occasionally when the nut gets stuck on the bolt like that, it twists it out of the toilet flange on the floor, and it causes a little bit of a mess, so you're unable to unscrew the nut from the bolt. So in this case, we'll just cut it off. Now the toilet's ready to come off the ground. There's a wax seal between the toilet and the sewer pipe, so it's going to be a little bit of a sticky mess coming out, but we'll just put it on some towels and it shouldn't be a big deal. Okay, we'll put the new toilet flange bolts in. Kind of wiggle them in there, and then we have a little plastic retaining piece to kind of hold them in spot while we stick the toilet on. Now you can see here how they go in at this angle, and then once they get inside they twist, and that's what locks them in place. Alright, next step is to put the wax ring on the bottom of the toilet. Okay, once we set it down, it's going to be one steady push to the ground, so the wax ring makes a complete seal. Okay, the next step is to attach the toilet flange bolts and put their nuts on, and this will bolt the toilet to the floor. One of the tricks here to keep the bottom of the bolt from spinning and falling out of the toilet sewer flange Sometimes you have to kind of get it started and then hold the top of the bolt while you run the nut down. So we'll put the washer on first, and we're gonna hold this and get it started. Okay, the trick about this one is not over tightening these. You can easily apply enough torque to this bolt that it cracks the bottom of the toilet, and that is not a good place to be. So these are 1/2 inch bolts that I've got. 1/2 inch is 12.54 millimeters, so here's our 13 millimeter, because 1/2 millimeter is not that much to be off by. So we're gonna come in hand tight, and we'll get this about as hand tight as we can get it with just the bare socket and no ratchet on top of it. We'll switch to the other side, kind of make sure that the toilet is level and balanced on the floor as far as tightness goes. Okay, we got both sides hand tight as much as we can with the socket. And next step will be using the ratchet to get them just a little bit tighter. The reason there's so many turns to run these nuts down, even though I put my whole weight on the toilet, torquing up a bolt like this, even with a little bit of torque, can apply a huge amount of preload force, and that preload force could be hundreds or even thousands of pounds with relatively small torques. So we're just gonna be really careful here and go slowly. Okay, so a little bit of a good news, bad news situation here. We torqued up the bolts, and then when I was going to cut them off to put the cosmetic caps on, the vibration from the reciprocating saw was enough that this is now loose and has fallen out. So going into it before placing the toilet flange was pretty corroded, and it was kind of right at that threshold of it could work or it could not work. I went for it and it turned out that it didn't work. So I got a toilet flange repair kit, and we're just gonna undo a lot of this and then redo it properly. So the good news is the toilet is gonna be a lot more stable than it would have otherwise been. The bad news is we just gotta go back 4 or 5 steps and redo them all pretty quickly here. bolted down. We have the cosmetic covers placed. And then at this point, it's just a matter of following the specific instructions for the toilet that you purchased. And so this one is super straightforward. The tank goes up here. It takes 3 bolts along the back. We'll reattach the water supply and then screw on the toilet seat, and it's done. So let's see that happen.